So first of all, what is acute appendicitis? Well, it's defined as inflammation of the vermiform appendix. However, this inflammatory process may extend beyond the appendix to affect the adjacent colon. For those of you who aren't aware, the appendix is named vermiform due to its resemblance to a worm, which in Latin is vermis. If we now take a look at the anatomy of the appendix, well, as we know, the appendix is a tubular structure which looks like a worm. It does vary in length between individuals and measures between 2 cm to 20 cm, so it can get surprisingly long. But the average length is around 8 to 10 cm. Typically, the base of the appendix is located at the point of the cecum where the longitudinal tenei coli converge. And by remembering this, it gives us an easy way to find the appendix if we're struggling to locate it during surgery. The arterial supply to the appendix is via the appendicular artery, and here we can see it branching off the ileocolic artery, before running parallel with the appendix within the small mesentery of the appendix, which we refer to as the mesoappendix. As we shall see, the location of the tip of the appendix can be highly variable. However, the position of the base is far more predictable. Typically, we find it at a point 2/3 the distance along a straight line from the umbilicus to the anterior superior iliac spine, or ASIS, as we can see demonstrated here. We refer to this point as McBurney's point, after the 19th century American surgeon Charles McBurney, who described this point as being the location of maximal tenderness in patients with acute appendicitis. And here we can see how it corresponds nicely with the location of the appendix base. Appendicitis is one of the most common surgical emergencies throughout the world. In the US alone, approximately 7% of the population will be affected, which equates to about 250,000 cases every year. In the UK, 1 in every 13 people will be affected, which works out roughly around the same prevalence. But obviously, as you may expect for a smaller population, the incidence is going to be smaller, and it works out around about 40,000 cases per year. Regarding the demographics of appendicitis, unfortunately for us men, we have a higher incidence, with 1.4 cases to every 1 female case. Appendicitis is more rare in extremes of ages, so we don't often see it occurring in very young children or very elderly adults, and we'll explain the reasons for this a bit later. And as I'm sure you'll all have noticed from your times in hospital, appendicitis is far more common in adolescents and young adults.